Y'all loving them high yellows, how it's sitting right now. It's all gravy with them light skins every now and then. But right now, I'm showing love to the brown skins, cause I'm trying to get a kiss. Suntan cover your whole body except for the
What up, what up, what up, everybody? It's your boy, Cardinal Red. Alright, y'all, so today's topic, what I'm gonna call this video? I think I'm gonna call this video the new generation of boxing are a flock of ducks. No more warriors. Alright, y'all, so you know, I know people hate, I really hate to use the word ducking because in boxing, I know it's all about business and dollar signs matching up for these fights to come together. But sometimes, fighters just avoid each other because they know they can't win. And that happens probably more often than you actually think in the sport of boxing, because unlike football, unlike basketball, unlike every other sport out there other than wrestling, but we know wrestling's fake, there are scheduled games every year. You get to play teams maybe twice a year, or you get to see a team again in the following year. So those are team sports. When in an individual sport like boxing, most of the time you only get one fight. Your favorite fighter goes up against another fighter, and normally you don't get a rematch. I don't understand why, but nowadays you're not getting a lot of rematches. I know why, but I don't really want to bring it up right now. But it's a whole different generation when it comes to boxing. Now, the last generation, they were the generation that were coming into money in boxing. The previous generation, like the Ali generation, you had the Ali generation, then you had the Tyson generation, and then you had the Roy Jones generation, you had the Pacquiao generation. Now we have the Mayweather generation. And in the Ali generation, when I was saying, the Tyson generation, they were the guys just now coming into money. They were the first generation that was getting real big money for putting on fights. Big money for those times. Ali's generation, Ali was getting decent money, but Ali wasn't getting probably half of what he deserved, because not only was he black and it was a racist country at the time, which it still is, don't get me wrong, but it was the racism was open back then. It was openly racist back then. Now it's not openly racist. So Ali had a lot more to struggle for when it came to getting a decent paycheck than Tyson had to struggle for. And Tyson had a little more to struggle for to get a decent paycheck than Pacquiao and Mayweather had to struggle for. And I think because it's easier to get a paycheck now, and it's easier to get a big paycheck, you have fighters protecting themselves now. Unlike in the last generations where you had fighters, okay, this is the next guy, well, bring him on, we're going to fight. Okay, this is the next guy, bring him on, we're going to fight. It's kind of how it worked out. Now, even in Ali's days, they say that there were a few fights that were ducked. Even in Tyson's day, there were fighters that were ducking. It wasn't as prevalent back then as it is now, but now it's a situation where there's so much money involved. You don't have to fight another great fighter to get a good paycheck. Where in Tyson's day, you had to fight a great fight to get a good paycheck. In Ali's day, you had to fight an amazing fight, history-making fights to get a good paycheck. And today, you can go fight a garbage man or a mailman and get a few $1 million and be a superstar in the boxing. It's almost laughable, but it's true. This is what the truth is. Now, here's the thing about it. We all know Mayweather kind of ushered in this new generation of boxing, this ducking generation of boxing. And it was because of the amount of money Mayweather could generate. He could, because he can generate so much money, he was able to put fights together normally people wouldn't watch or even care about. But because he's Floyd Mayweather and his reputation was, he had built the bad guy image, and his reputation is he can't lose. So people found that appealing to watch. I never watched. Hey, only Mayweather fight I ever watched was when he was Pretty Boy and the Pacquiao fight. I'm gonna be honest with you. I didn't watch any of those Mayweather fights when he was the heel, or I didn't care, because I knew after one or two of them what he was doing. So I never cared to watch his fights. Now, on the other hand, you had Pacquiao, who was still, ooh, look at this, man. I don't know if y'all gonna be able to see it, but man, man, it's raining outside and they look sexy. Man, okay. I got distracted by the sexiness that just ran past. Anyway, all right. So Pacquiao, in the same time, was making his name and making his come up in the game. And he wasn't ducking fighters. He fought everybody they put in front of him. Anybody you put in front of Pacquiao, he fought them. Now, there are a few times where people say, well, Pacquiao didn't fight this guy. He should have fought that guy. Why didn't he fight this? Here's the thing about it. And here's what people have to understand about boxing. The promoters control most of the fights we see get put together. They are the ones paying for them. They are the ones who put them together. Sometimes boxers can encourage a promoter to put a fight together, or they're going to give the promoter a lot of problems. But they're going to still be promoted by that guy. So sometimes we didn't get the fights we wanted because of Bob Arum not wanting to put a certain dollar amount up for a certain fight. So there might have been a few Pacquiao fights that should have been made that weren't made, but it was all due to Bob Arum. Now, here is the problem I have with a lot of people who say Terence Crawford's not ducking. Well, Terence Crawford's excuse is, I didn't fight Pacquiao while he was hurt because we didn't want to. We felt bad for Pacquiao. We felt scared for Pacquiao. We didn't want to see Pacquiao get hurt. When in the history of promoting, have you ever heard of a promoter who had two top fighters, one considered to be a legend, the other one considered to be the number one in the sport at that time, and he didn't pair them up to make hundreds of millions of dollars because he felt sorry for the legend? It don't even make sense. This is the business of making money. He's in the business of, he don't care about these fighters. He don't care if one fighter gets knocked out and another. When did promoters start caring about that? Fighters get knocked out every day. You don't see them go jump in the ring and hug and kiss on them like it's their daddy and scream, my baby. I mean, you've never ever seen this in your life. So anybody who says Bob Arum protected Manny Pacquiao because he didn't want to see Terence Crawford hurt him, you are a fool's fool. That's putting it lightly. Okay, now for Errol Spence Jr., I know people are going to say, well, he had an eye injury. He couldn't fight. It's the perfect excuse for Errol Spence Jr. But I know one thing. It's not going to take a year for Errol Spence Jr. to come back. More than likely, we probably won't get the rematch between Pacquiao and you guys, but I'm hoping for it. I heard there's a rematch clause. I'm hoping Pacquiao takes it. But I know there's a lot of stuff going on in the Philippines, so there's a 50-50 shot. He might have retired. He might come back. But we know for a fact, Errol Spence Jr. didn't want that fight for one reason. You could have rescheduled the fight, same way Tyson Fury did, but I feel like Fury is ducking Wilder, to be honest with you, because I think Wilder won the first fight, and I think, Fury won the second one, but I think Wilder is actually the better of the two fighters, to be honest with you. And I think it was a long count when he knocked Fury down. He really knocked Fury out. But hey, it is what it is. Believe what you want to believe. The same thing goes for Teofimo and George Kambosos. I keep telling y'all, Teofimo's a fluke, and George Kambosos will probably beat his A. But they keep putting this fight off because I think they know George Kambosos got Teofimo's. He has an A whooping waiting for Teofimo. Teofimo might win now because they put the fight off for so long. And maybe, just maybe, he's taking a little something behind the scenes. Or maybe he fixed himself in training so he can win that fight. The new generation, it's sad to watch for me as a boxing fan because I got to watch the end of Ali's career. I got to watch pretty much all of Mike Tyson's career. I got to watch Roy Jones Jr. I got to watch Manny Pacquiao. I got to see some of Sugar Ray Leonard. I got to see all of these great fighters. Klitschko, Eric Morales, Mark Antonio Barrera, Bernard Hopkins, De La Hoya. I got to see all these warriors who went out there and bled and fought to the T for me, to entertain me. And they weren't getting as much money as these guys are now. And now I have to accept this new generation of duckers because everybody else accepts them. Everybody else seems to just accept this. Oh, well, these are the new great, and you should just accept. Why should I accept mediocrity? I don't like mediocrity in boxing. I don't like mediocrity in life. Why should I accept that? Why should I accept that? YouTube won't even, if I came on here and my video was all choppy and you couldn't hear what I was saying, nobody will watch it. YouTube don't even accept mediocrity. So why, as a boxing fan, should I accept mediocrity when I know it's very easy to make some of these fights? And then people say, well, Errol Spence didn't want to hurt Pacquiao because he's old. Like, give me a break. What fighter doesn't want to make $10 million to go beat up somebody they said is old and then become super duper famous off the back of that? These arguments that I keep getting, they're so ridiculous, and they really have no point behind them. They just throw something goofy out there and hope you don't respond. But it's so ridiculous and goofy that it's almost hard for me to explain, but I know why. It's money. It's the new generation they don't want to get a loss because people will stop liking you nowadays if you get a loss, or they'll drag you through the mud and rag on you all over the internet because of a loss. But listen, you wouldn't have a Rocky story if Rocky didn't lose. There is no Rocky story if he didn't lose to Apollo Creed. There wouldn't have been all of those rematches in the Rocky story and all those great fights in the Rocky story, the greatest boxing story ever told, if he didn't lose, okay? Muhammad Ali doesn't become a legend if he didn't have to face all that adversity, if he didn't have to lose to the federal government, if he didn't lose in the boxing ring and have to redeem himself, you wouldn't have seen the best Ali had to offer, okay? This is the problem with young people and the new generation in general. They are afraid to lose. So even if you make a business deal with somebody from this new generation or a young person, you might get shot simply because they felt like they took a loss to you in some way. It might be a penny, it might be $1,000, but these people might shoot you because they feel like they took a loss to you. And it's a shame. It shouldn't be this way. I feel like the only way to change boxing is for these guys to fight each other. The best fight the best. Number one fights number two. the champions fight the champions. And these guys will avoid each other until the cows come home, and people will justify it simply because they are crowned the best fighter of today. I don't justify it because these people are not doing what warriors, what boxers of the past, and even some boxers still today are actually doing, and not getting credit for it, which is putting on the greatest shows possible. It's what we pay you for. You know, I don't pay for boxing to get mediocrity. I'm not putting millions of dollars in your pocket to get mediocrity, to get you guys ducking each other. And when I want to see a good fight where you make up an excuse and tell me my promoter won't let it happen. Let me know what y'all think about that, man. Is this the generation of ducks in boxing? Are these new generation of boxers? Is this a flock of ducks that we're watching, and we only accept it because this is the only thing we have to watch as boxing fans? It's your boy Cardinal Red, man. Hit that like button for me, please. Subscribe, man. Tell a friend. Where we at today, man? It's not sunny outside. It finally started raining. It ain't rained in like 3 weeks, man. These guys about to go hit some golf balls in the woods. All right, y'all. It's your boy Cardinal Red, man, and we are out of here.